to Books Are Good Medicine, a podcast sponsored by the Shakopee Metawakan Sioux community, featuring books and other Native American-focused teaching resources. We're your hosts, Odia Wood-Krieger
and Allison Waka. It's February and love is in the air. Love is often deeply intertwined in Native American cultures with a sense of community, connection to family, respect for nature, and kinship with all living things.
Love can, of course, take many forms. In this episode, we chat about how these different expressions of love are reflected in Native books. We also share some of the top love-themed recommended reads just in time for Valentine's Day. Enjoy. Hi, Allison.
Hi, Odia.
It seems like it has been ages since it's just been you and I.
Yes.
And now we get to talk about love.
Yes.
And all of the fun ways to stay warm, body and soul, with some love.
Good books. Yeah.
So when you and I were brainstorming about this and we're like, we need to talk about love.
Yes.
I immediately went to romance.
Yes.
And so I brought a couple of romance books. I know you know Love Jams.
That's becoming a play too.
I did not
movie,
know that.
I think. Yes.
And Tasha Hart, she's awesome, right?
Yes.
She has
what do they say? Multidisciplinary person. She does all kinds of things.
Well, she did the covers for the Minnesota Native Lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then that cookbook about the good berry, wild rice, and then has this book.
Yes.
Playwright now.
Mm-hmm. And I think she's writing another one, I think. Plus she makes earrings. She's awesome. So
doesn't surprise me. Highly talented Native woman. Do you know this one?
I have seen the cover. Yes, but tell me about it.
The Truth According to Ember. I have not read this. I laughed though when it's one of my. I'm gonna read it over my next break.
I kind of want to too. Yes.
So it says a Chickasaw woman who can't catch a break serves up a little white lie that snowballs into much more in this witty and irresistible rom-com by debut author Danica Nava. And I was this is gonna be awesome.
Well, from the cover, it looks awesome.
Right? No bare-chested Native. Usually all the Harlequins.
Yes. We'll move on from those. Right.
So these are the only two that I brought that were maybe
romance, yeah. And apparently there's one by Tiffany Midge as well that is the romance written by Natives, about Natives. Yeah.
I heard it's a little more than romance, though.
Yeah, I think that one is. She always pushes the button.
So it's spicy.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Spicy romance. All right. So that's what I was thinking. And then when you and I you'd sent me these are the books I want to talk about. And I was like, oh boy, I can bring out some classics and sort of have different themes.
Yeah, I think love is so much more than in February what we kind of see on television in the commercials, ads, and so forth. And I just started, I started thinking about this episode, I really saw love through the Native lens is just more about compassion and empathy and kindness and respect. And love is so much more, I think, especially with our ancestors, it was more how acts of love, how you do the whole, what is my love language? I really see it as taking care of one another. And one of the things is the only way I have not been good in the romance love part of my life. And so when I started thinking about love, I really thought about my sisters and my son and my mom, my dad, and then of course led to book titles and that the first one that really popped into my mind was the medicine. Oh goodness, I'm spacing the title right now.
We Dream Medicine Dreams?
Yes. My son and I have read that over and over. And it's one that we checked out at the library and then ended up purchasing. And it's about a little grandparent, grandchild relationship and at the end of the life, and how it's just so beautifully written. And I really saw that as love, and what you are doing for your children is preparing them for when you're not there. And it just is a real, when I think of love, I thought of that book immediately. And so what was one of your first ones that you thought of?
Oh gosh. So in terms of like children, I don't have kids. I've talked about this book before, Sweetest, Kulu. Mm-hmm. And I love this one because a mother introduces her baby to all of the animals in the north and the land. And it's sort of like this welcome to this world, baby.
Yep.
And it was just like, you have a role. This is important that everyone knows you so that you understand your role within it. It's one that I give for baby showers. They now do a board book. It's so beautiful. And like reading the back, dream a little Kulu, this world now sings a most beautiful song to you. And I love that one.
Yes.
And then I sang You Down from the Stars, also another classic. So I really wanted something about the importance of
connection
babies and young people and connection and welcome to this world.
And I think that we show love with our responsibility for nature and the universe around us. And so again, acts of love, right? And love is not simply something that we is to human. It is also nature, and we can even talk about Bob.
I love that.
Inanimate. What would you say? Inanimate
objects.
Yeah, and what Bob did for the family, right? And how you say thank you. And this is one book that's always at the top of my list. And Natives just have a different view of love rather than the commercial sense, right? And this a letter for Bob just kind of showcases that.
And we've talked about that one before. You know, family. They've taken Bob the car. Bob has taken them everywhere, and it's time for a new car. And so it's like a love letter to Bob.
Right. There you go.
I
love it.
People are sort of like, well, why would you, thank your car? But, we name our cars, I thank my car for getting me places safely.
Definitely.
It's just this idea that, we shouldn't value things that aren't alive. Right. I think
that's just not in our way. Yeah, we definitely have to. And I think it makes our hearts stronger, and by showcasing that love just to anything that helps you help them, so forth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh,
you just have a huge stack over
so
here.
many books. So I was thinking about foster care and like how hard that conversation can be. And so this is like the tiniest little book, and it's called Moccasins by Earl Einarson. Do you know this book?
No, but there's the cutest little picture there.
Oh my God. You're going to die. Like, you need to read this book. And so a foster mother gives him a little pair of moccasins and just like helps him find his place. And spoiler, at the end, he gifts the moccasins to his own baby. And I get like emotional, even though I don't have kids. I'm like, ah. And then I don't know, like Richard Wagamese has this way of talking or writing that I feel like he talks directly to the readers. He's one of my favorites, Canadian writer. And he has a beautiful one.
It does look worn a little bit.
It's made some
rounds.
It's made the rounds, and he has his very first story is called The Language of Fishermen, and it starts off, I had a hero when I was 6, and talks about how this man named Joe was his foster dad and the things they did. And he said, of all the men who came into my life, as I was growing up, Joe Taknik was the one who fostered father in me. He gave the word meaning. See, Joe understood that we all have one basic human right coming in, the right to know who we are created to be. He took the responsibility to show me in the only way that he could. And I get teary reading both of these. Yeah. And I adore Richard Wagamese. They're vignettes. I recommend them for high school classes.
Well, thanks, Joe, for creating a writer.
Oh my gosh. It's just so good. So, because I think those relationships, like we often knee jerk to very traditional relationships, like, mother, father, and, but, as we know, relationships and titles they blur.
Yeah.
Right. And fluid, so I love this idea of honoring different types of relationships with these two. But yeah.
It's the cutest illustration.
Yeah. Julie Flett does the best stuff. Yeah. Shout out to Julie. So I've got some other ones. I have a couple of Monique Graysmith books.
Yeah.
Because she's
one that was on my list as well.
Circle of Love. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we talked about this one before.
No, I don't think we have.
Brand new ish. Came out last May. But talks about
seems like a lifetime ago.
Right? Different types of love. Love is love, different relationships, being together, LGBTQ 2S inclusion. But yeah, it talks about community centers, the role of
2S means.
Two-Spirit?
Yes. I think some people might not know that.
Yeah. So it's a term used by Native community to represent gender fluidity. Mm-hmm. I know it's been appropriated by some people are just like, I'm Two-Spirit. And we're like you can be gender fluid in your way. But yeah, Two-Spirit is, by adding the Two-Spirit on there, it honors the Native view, right? Gender fluidity. Mm-hmm.
And there's indigiqueer, right? Mm-hmm. Right. That's a term as well. And then the one that I liked with Monique was, do you have a copy of that?
I don't. I didn't bring it.
Oh, yeah. But it was the I Hope. And I just adore Monique. She's a wonderful person, and it really comes across in her books. I feel like a lot of books that are written by Natives, they're very personal, no matter what the topic is. It seems like a piece of them always comes, which I don't necessarily see in some non-Native authors that I read. So, there's always a piece of them somehow inside their writing.
Yeah, this particular one, You Hold Me Up, by Monique, was talking about, it starts off with, you hold me up when you were kind to me. That's in all the different ways that how people, when you learn with me, and you hold me up when you play with me. And
right.
All these ways, this interconnectedness. If folks are unfamiliar with Monique, I even have another one of hers too. She does such a great job with just social, emotional, and connecting, and giving young people language to help them talk about their feelings.
And I think it's something that, unfortunately, with boarding schools, we lost that. And this book especially shows us how we used to be. And is helping us really re-indigenize ourselves and our ways. Unfortunately, we have to find them ourselves. And I think with the way what I was told and what I was taught is that with children, we used to adapt our world to them. And nowadays it's more about, in this in the society we live in now, it's more adapting them to be quiet and be inside our world, right? And where we used to be flipped, we used to navigate and revolve around our children. They're a blessing, then they're a gift. And I think, especially within my life, I'm really trying to navigate how to I don't know, is it reteach my DNA on how to showcase love and not do just honor what my son is feeling, what my nieces are feeling or sharing, and by what they're saying, honoring it with respect and love. If they're not feeling something, we can go, or if they, so I think that book kind of showcases how we used to be and how we are reclaiming it back. Love.
I love it.
Yeah.
Have you read Too Much yet?
No, I haven't. That's another cute illustration.
So good.
Little spaceship.
So this one, this little boy is just like, he's in a play.
Yeah.
He's an astronaut in the play, but he's like so worried, like, because his family can be a lot.
Oh.
Right. And so he's just like, oh, how's this going to be? And he's sort of like wrestling with his big native family and what does this mean? And all of that. And spoiler, it has a happy ending. But yeah, he just figures it out. He said at the back, it says, sometimes a big family can feel like too much. And sometimes their love is just enough. Oh. So I love this one, talking about families, connection with family, and just, I feel like we've all been here.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
We've all been here. And even though we love our family, sometimes they can be a lot. And in the end, we're just like, oh, maybe they're just perfect the way they are.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think especially during your teen years, you're like, oh, my mom's too much.
Yeah.
But you definitely... now in my age, I'm very thankful for her. But I had another one by Laurel, Goodluck. So I liked Forever Cousins for that. I think that, so the same author is Too Much, but Laurel does a really good job of also showcasing the relationships. So in Forever Cousins, one of the things that I know Navajos do, but I know a lot of tribes do across the board, think of cousins as not cousins, right? They are siblings. And so, my nieces call my son brother, and my brother says sissies. And so there is that relationship that isn't so sterile as like a cousin, right? And and then it goes even farther where you would call them your mother. And so Forever Cousins is a really cute book that they still have that relationship. So that must be Too Much, must be after Forever Cousins then, a newer one.
It is. Yeah, it's crazy.
So she's on the
My bookseller really loves me.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So Three Feathers, graphic novel.
Thank you for bringing a graphic novel.
I was trying to think different levels. So I recommend this one. Touching Spirit Bear is a book that a lot of schools were using, and I was like, don't use that one. Don't use that one. I like this one instead. just as a side note. But this one is about boys who commit a crime and they have to go live on the land, but then they have to come back to their community and see if their community will accept them. And so I think this is very much about like, how do we care for others without writing them off?
Yes.
How do we show people grace? How do we not judge people at their worst moments? Mm-hmm. And so I like this one. Richard Van Camp, huge fan of Richard, Clecho writer from Northern Canada. He's got a ton of stuff. But yeah, a graphic novel. The boys have to live on the land with elders. And
there's another one I like by him. What is it? Isn't it a board book maybe? That's really cute.
he's got a ton
quite
of
a few.
them. Yeah, I couldn't even list all of them. And yeah, but he's wonderful. So I wanted this one. And then what's my superpower? This one is so great. This is a little girl who...
I need to get that as a gift for someone. It reminded me.
She goes around and she identifies all the things in her friends that are like a superpower.
I love it.
And then she's sort of like, but I don't have one.
Oh, you don't?
And then her mom helps her figure out what her superpower is. So I love like being a good friend, right? Observing, watching, noticing people, who they are, is like authentically noticing them and providing really good, careful feedback about them is a superpower. And,
yes, it definitely is.
And I think that's love.
That is.
Seeing people for who they are.
Bringing out the goodness, acknowledging it, definitely. And I think we need more of that in our world today. Love is helping our friends, and I think that so acknowledging someone that they're special and everyone's uniqueness brings something to the world, and we definitely need more acknowledgement of superpowers.
Definitely. Constellation of Minor Bears. This one, I want to include a novel. So Jen Ferguson, Métis writer. This one,
I feel Canadian vibes from you today.
Always, right? This one I chose because it starts off with a group of friends, like a trio, right? So it's brother, sister, and then best friend that they share.
Okay.
And I love in the beginning of this book, Jen warns people that you're going to talk about hard things. Disability, body image, food issues. Like, she's careful and she guides readers like, there may be some hard things here and I want you to be aware of it. So I love that she cares for her readers that way. But this story is, essentially, Molly, the character, she's graduating, and the three of them were going to do a through hike on, is it the Pacific Crest?
It sounds like something
Pacific Crest Trail. Yeah. But the brother and the best friend were, they were rock climbing, and the belay system failed, and the brother ends up with a head injury. And so it sort of derails their plans, right? And Molly's struggling with parental, like what the parents want her to do. She wants to do this hike. She wants to, be strong, and she graduated, and she wants this personal sovereignty of like doing the hike. But now her parents are like, your brother's not going to be there, so maybe it's not safe for you, and like all of these things. But just the complexities of friendships, of siblings, of parents, meeting new friends, sort of all of the things that complicates growing up and big feelings. And there is love in there. And I just love, I keep saying it, I just love that Jen takes care of for readers. I think that's really important. So I wanted to include a novel, Constellation of Minor Bears, which I love the, and this is it's a little bit different. This is an advanced reader's copy because I did some work for them. So cover may look a little bit different. And then I have a stack of books here about connection to wild spaces.
Oh.
The Apple Tree, love this one. And if folks don't know it, it's little boy plants an apple seed, and he has a very close relationship with the apple tree. Takes good care of it, helps it grow, and Cherokee language all throughout. And of course, the apple tree keeps growing, but the apple tree feels pretty ashamed because doesn't have apples.
Oh,
right?
Well, they don't.
Feels like a failure. And one day, or one night, while the tree's sleeping, the boy ties a red apple to it.
Oh my goodness!
I know. I'm also like, oh. And then later on, the tree weathers all the seasons, and then when the tree finally does produce fruit, right, has beautiful flowers, right, full seasons, the apples aren't red. They're yellow. So the tree's like, hey, I remember a time, and I'll never forget my first apple.
Oh.
I don't know why. This one makes me so emotional, and I don't know why.
That's the winner for today.
Braiding Sweetgrass for Young Adults. Surprise, surprise, yet another Monique Ray Smith book. This one is how do we talk about reciprocity? How do we care for the world? How do we be better humans? And Monique, if people haven't figured out, I'm a Monique super fan.
I think we all are.
I think this book just hits it out of the park. My favorite thing when Monique talks about, it says for young adults, she always says for the young at heart. There's pictures, there's little questions, there's, beautiful illustrations.
I just love young adult now. I feel like I'm absorbing, and it's not so intense sometimes. That's what you need. So
I heard the funniest term. Youngification. That's what publishers call it. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's a youngification. And I was like, oh, really? Like that's what you settled on? But okay. Like if that's what you want.
Yeah.
I have to be a Good Ancestor.
Oh yeah.
By Leona Price. Great book, right? Walking Together, Elder Albert D. Marshall. Again, this one's very much about the Mi'kmaq two-eyed seeing, like how we live in two worlds, right? And seeing that. Right. And then Tanya Simpson's book, Forever Our Home. Right, there's so many good ones about connection to wild spaces.
And just, I like that you brought ancestors into it, because I think that's how, maybe I've said this before, but like when natives are talking, when we say we, it's not just who's present with us now, it's who was in the past and in our future. We always think of more than just who's alive with us here and now. So that definitely is showcasing love.
Yeah. Well, my lovely mentor and elder, Ida Downwind.
Yes.
And she always tells people she loves them. Always, always. Like she will meet people and be like,
we have to be more vocal about it. Yes.
And it weirds people out. I know it weirded me out initially too, because I was like, oh. Because you feel this obligation, right? Like, oh man. And so she would always say to people, love doesn't need to be like private or sexual or, sort of the modern mainstream view of love.
Right.
So she really normalizes it. And so when we would do work with teachers, we would, one of the things we would say to students is, how does love show up in whatever book we're reading, right? What does it look like? What
Nature,
does love look like in here?
Cousins.
What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Right? Because we often say to kids like, oh, love your brother, or you should love your friends. I don't know how many kids know that. Sometimes I don't think adults know it anymore, right?
Yes.
So I think, helping people to think about that and practice it, as silly as that may sound, about how to be a good relative or to care for others is an important skill.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I have absolutely loved talking about books. Do you catch?
Love talking about love.
Love talking about books. And I'm actually kind of shocked we didn't have just a massive amount of books again, because 2 bibliophiles and books about love, we could have had hundreds.
I think we did a great job.
Thanks, Allison.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Books Are Good Medicine. Subscribe to our channel on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can also visit our website, booksaregoodmedicine.com, to find episodes and resources or to send us a comment. This podcast is sponsored by the Shakopee, Metawakan Sioux community and produced by Goff Public. Our theme music is Stomp Dance by Blue Dog. The opinions expressed on the Books Are Good Medicine podcast by its co-hosts and guests are their own in their personal capacities and do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization with whom they are affiliated or of the podcast sponsor.